Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back. Thank you for coming back. If you are new here, what up? Today we're going to be talking about the Arcanum Mythics that came out a couple weeks ago. Hellman, Lumestry, and Ornithox. I always have trouble with that one's name. Anyway, we're going to be talking about them today because this is a three-part review, and I'm going to do a review on all three. I won't be going over the spell kits, but you can find their spell kits on my Instagram, and I believe in some of the videos I've done on them if you want to see more about them, how they fly, what spells they have, stuff like that. But today we're just going to be going one by one over the pros, the cons, and how I feel about them overall after flying them for a little bit. So first we have Hellman. A lot of people are naming him like Mayo just because of his name, and I think that's quite funny. There's also like a cult of Hellman on the forums. It's gotten weird. But Hellman is the mythic hunter of the Arcanum Mythics. The pros, he has a passive 275% breath damage buff, so it can't be taken away by an ice flak or anything like that. Which I think is really, really cool, and it's the first time we've really seen this on a hunter, as far as a passive that can't be taken away. I think that's really nice, especially with the increase in, at endgame, the tower buffs. It's really hard without a breath damage increase to spam down a tower quick enough, so having that and it not being able to be taken away is super, super nice on this guy. Then it has a red dodge that helps you avoid projectiles, and while that is super nice, the best part about it, in my opinion, is it does do damage, but you can still dodge with a red mage up. It just won't do the damage. It also has consume, which heals you and gives you a big chunk of ammo regen back, and then you have lightning resist and a howitzer resist. But to me personally, lightning resist is good in combination with that red dodge, because the dodge dodges projectiles, but it doesn't dodge those beams. So if you're going on to a setup that's like 4 and 5, and there are a bunch of lightning towers on 4 that are coming at you while you're still trying to deal with like stuff on 5, having a lightning resist really reduces the damage that you're taking from those lightnings, coupled with that dodge means you're really not going to be able to take a lot of damage, and you can use consume to help get your ammo back, and you're spamming out so much ammo. And it's 275% breath damage increase as well. So not only are you spamming out a bunch of ammo, it's also extremely high damage ammo, because the amp that Hellman has is even stronger than Calivor's Eulogy spell, which we all know in Calivor's Prime did a ton of damage. So I think this guy's super nice overall. He is a good, decent hunter for a lot of people. The cons, the lightning towers are typically paired with a howitzer, making you choose between your resist cycle. This can kind of be overtaken if you wanted to add a add-on spell lightning resist, so you could just keep it on the howitzer resist, and then you would have like the passive lightning resist that you get from your add-on spell, and you could really just avoid the howitzers altogether. Personally, I wouldn't do that because I like bringing other add-on spells, like an invincibility shield or a death gaze, just to get extra damage or extra kind of shielding down. But it is an option if you are good enough with Hellman to not really need those extra add-on spells and just rely on the entire spell kit. You could add that lightning resist just as like a backup plan. The cooldown of the dodge, the red dodge, is kind of long in terms of how you are taking on a base. It's not really long, it's only like 2 seconds, but it feels very long because that is the only way that you're avoiding damage, as far as upfront damage from flaks and pylons and stuff like that. That's your only way to get away from those. So the cooldown being 2 seconds feels like forever, because without it, you're super vulnerable. And that's really the only way that you can take a lot of damage and die. Consume's cooldown is also very long, and it is a very spammy dragon, and you need to time your consume perfectly so that you dump your ammo out and then you use consume to get that ammo regen back. And it needs to be timed right to fully utilize the spell kit. Otherwise, you're wasting the dragon's potential if you're not timing it right. So those are some things that I've just figured out and saw. And you also need to focus on a blue mage, because without the blue mage down, you can't use your consume. So then you can't get that ammo regen back and you can't be spammy. And then overall, is he the best? No. Is he the very best like no one ever was? No. But is he a decent choice? Yes, he's easier than Zul. Most people will be okay with him. He's not like overwhelmingly amazing, but he is decent. He is usable. I would definitely use a ton of attack and ammo runes on him. And if you have those, you have good gear, you're able to spam correctly and time that consume right, I think that he will be a good dragon for a lot of people, especially because I know a lot of people are struggling with Zul. So this is definitely a choice that you could put in your roster just as a backup, or maybe if you get go with him as a main dragon. I have defended him a lot in Atlas. It's 50-50 whether it gets through or not, but that's kind of like flyer based. But the flyers that have been good with him have gotten through. Lumestri, this is the Invoker. This is the one that I have. It was on my breeding path, and I have it fully decked out because I do like it. Anyway, the pros, it has a Death Gaze that also heals you, which is super, super nice. There is a way to dodge and reload your ammo so that you can kind of spam that Death Gaze spell twice. And then it has a cloak that you can shoot from and gain rage from. So it has a lot of ways to kind of dodge, reload, shield yourself, and just like hide, basically. But the cons is that it is very slow. Invokers are. You're always waiting on that ammo cooldown when you don't have your reload ready. You are also always waiting on a cooldown as far as these spells. So the spells have pretty long cooldowns, and I'm just kind of like sitting there hoping that I'm not going to get hit because I have to wait for my reload or I have to wait for my cloak. And that's pretty meh when you're already flying a dragon that's pretty slow. So it's definitely very, very slow. Earthquake takes an extremely long time to land, meaning you can't really just fire it at something coming at you and hope that it'll block it if you have the red mage down. It's like you throw it and it hits you and you're like, oh, I just kind of wasted that, which is, in my opinion, kind of meh. I wish that Earthquake hit quicker, but that's just a personal thing. I wish I could just freeze it a little bit faster. I throw it and I'm like waiting and watching and I'm like, okay, when is it going to hit? But overall, it isn't my first choice in my roster. It isn't the dragon that I lead with or anything, but it is super solid as a cleanup dragon, and I have been using it as a secondary in Atlas a lot, and it has saved me more times than I can count, really, on the basis that I do die on with my like main dragon. And the cooldown and the length and the slowness kind of makes it not very viable on like full built out bases. But if you have a lead dragon and you're able to kind of pick apart the base or get through enough to use Lumestri as a secondary cleanup, it is super, super nice. You just are very slow and you have to anchor yourself a lot, which is nice to bring like in traps or anything that really can just slow you down. But I like it. Is it something that I will lead with or make my main dragon? No. I wish it had the potential to be that because I did like flying it. But unfortunately, it's really just a cleaner. So that is what I'm using it for, and I'm happy with it for that. And lastly, we have Ornithox. This one made me the most mad. Whenever I was flying them for content, I just did not get along with Ornithox. But the pros, you get a huge, huge breath damage buff from the red spell, along with a shield that has a very long length. And then when the shield expires, it does do damage. So you have like a 3-in-1 spell, and it doesn't have a cooldown. So you can just keep going with it, basically. There are a lot of ways to get and maintain rage, which is needed to keep you going because, again, your main spell does not have a cooldown, so you want to keep that up and keep that going. But the cons, your shield can be canceled. The red mage means that if there's a red mage up, your shield blast does no damage. Your freeze also does no damage to help you out, and it only lasts like 2 seconds. And it is super expensive, like 2 rage for a spell that does no damage. I understand it's made more so to freeze problem towers, but warriors already struggle with getting enough damage output to deal with hammer spam. That it kind of just, I don't think that it would have really hurt anything to have like a small amount of damage from it, especially because it is 2 rage. If you're not going to let it do damage and it's just a very short 2-second freeze, I would probably make it 1 rage. Just me personally. I wasn't able to work with it. I wasn't able to do much with it. There are people that said that it's so good and everything, but I don't genuinely know if they are flying defended bases, because that's what I usually judge a dragon on, and I was barely able to take undefended bases with this guy. So I think there are a ton of warriors that are better and easier to work with. Quasar, Saratharim, Lockjaw, in my opinion, was easier to work with than this thing. I would put it on a perch and go. I wouldn't put too much effort into it. I didn't like it. I don't like it. I don't want it anywhere near me. It's a good perch dragon, and that's about it. It's just not a WoW warrior to me, and I wouldn't put the time or effort into gearing it and putting a rider on it and runes and stuff, just because it did nothing for me. But if you like it and you enjoy it, more power to you. It just was not it for me. So I hope that these helped you out. I hope that you guys have a beautiful day or night wherever you are in the world, and I will see you in my next video. Okay, bye!